Hey everybody, welcome to Comics R Kewel Presents. This is a segment where I like to take the interviews and, well, present them to you in their raw, phenomenal format. Today, we are taking a look at Jacob Semahn and Jorge Corona's #1 with a Bullet. Now, this book was my favorite book of last year, came out in November, and the trade paperback is on its way. It is a 6-issue miniseries, and it is a fantastic book about what happens when technology, well, invade somebody's personal privacy. This interview is essentially, well, it's an oldie, but a goodie. Again, let's sit back, relax, and take a look at Jacob Semahn and Jorge Corona's #1 with a Bullet. Take it away, guys. Two. Oh, never mind. I'm not even going to cue you guys in. We're just going to go right into it. So,
Alright.
no, they ruined it, guys. Welcome back to the comic interview section of Comics R Kewel. You know what? We're just gonna get right into it. I have a phenomenal 2 pairs of duos, and that sentence didn't make sense, but we're just gonna go right into it. So,
You told really me personal, really fast.
The best is you warned me, and I couldn't even wait to see what would happen with this opening. And it lived up beyond my expectations.
Oh, good. And remember, this is where I hang up on the interview. So, goodbye, everybody. So, I am here with #1 with a Bullet, Jacob Semahn. Semahn? One of those
Get out of here.
And Jorge Corona. There. I pronounced that one right.
Yeah.
Not George. It's Jorge. So,
Yep.
So,
got the foreigner one.
How are you two guys? Yeah, well, I'm just better with foreigners than I am with Americans. Anyway, moving on. How are you two doing?
Doing okay.
Good. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Like Friday at 6.
Flying, so
got nothing better going on. So, yeah.
I love the fact that you guys just talk simultaneously. It's, like, amazing when it came to it.
We fight each other all the time.
I can only imagine how it is at comic book conventions if you guys sit together, and it's like you guys just talk inconsistently to people. That'd be awesome.
I just posted a Flashback Friday, I guess, the hashtag Flashback Friday on Twitter, and it's literally of us like talking about #1 with a Bullet over WhatsApp, and it's just us saying the exact same thing at the exact same time, but like the opposite. So I'm like, oh, we think the same way, but I have better taste, and then Jorge says I have better taste, and it's just the exact same time. It's very funny in visual format. It's a terrible way to talk about it audio, but whatever.
Oh.
No, keep going. Make this awkward.
It's already awkward, guys. Don't even worry about it. But, so, for everybody who is listening and who doesn't know, what exactly is #1 with a Bullet? And if you guys want to talk at the same time, that's fine.
You just be my echo, my Latin echo.
No,
yeah. Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Let's get real here. All right.
Yeah, go.
All right. So, #1 with a Bullet takes place in kind of a near future. It's a place. It's a scary place, not far from our own, where contact lenses can do many things, but they can also record footage. And privacy quickly becomes a thing of the past. Just by the way that we consume social media in general. #1 with a Bullet follows Nash Wong. She's a social media darling. And it follows her as the world around her crumbles. Her semi-celebrity has turned into a scandal after a sex tape was leaked, recorded using these contact lenses without her knowledge. And she's struggling to put the pieces back to her life. But it's just kind of really hard when everyone's weighing in with opinions and troll-like comments. And while that's all going on in the background, there is her #1 fan kind of lurking, and as he surfaces, the bodies start piling up and the terror kind of begins for Nash. So that's kind of our book. It's a social media terror horror genre. I don't know.
No, and honestly, it's actually really, really appealing when you're actually looking at it, and that actually, yeah, it's... Sorry, that was absolutely terrible with trying to respond to that. So what made you...
When you read the book, it's better than the way I say it.
Yeah, hands down, you made it sound awful, but when you read it, it's really good. So what made you want to sort of kind of dive into the social media market with #1 with a Bullet? You don't really see a lot of comic books with that. Usually you just see either action, superhero, and horror and everything, but this kind of blends everything together, but in social media format.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of it's like, I don't want to get too political, but it is kind of in response to just the past year and a half of like how social media has kind of weighed heavy on all of our lives in America, and it's become a soapbox for people to kind of scream past each other, and no one's really listening to each other. They're just kind of in their little bubbles of tailored ads and friends and block people that they don't have to listen to, and it just has become like this weird kind of safety blanket for everybody that needs to believe what they believe in and can't even think or fathom that there's an outside viewpoint. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of become this thing where I've seen society almost, it feels like it's deteriorating at a very rapid rate. And I don't really see how it can recover. So I just decided I had this idea for a bit about these contact lenses that recorded and a sex tape, and kind of just seeing how our social media landscape has turned into this place of horrors. I was like, okay, I think I'm ready for this. After November 8th, I'm ready to talk about this. And so I talked to Jorge, and we really took a very measured approach to how we would tell the story, because it can be very exploitative. Right. And I didn't want to go that route. I wanted to go a route that felt very real, and you kind of saw it from not only a victim standpoint, but from a person who's trying to not be a victim and doing everything she can to like take her life back. She's a strong protagonist, Nash. And I also wanted it to be kind of a moral lesson that just because you see it splashed on a page somewhere that has no real facts to back it up, but it's all for entertainment, that it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a real thing, and that people's lives, especially people that aren't, politicians or, anybody of a kind of a measured sort that has any kind of dictation over other people's lives, should be taken with a grain of salt. It should definitely be like seen from all sides, not just one. And when I say all sides, I don't mean it in a weird Charlottesville way.
Yeah, great moment to utter that sentence.
Yeah, I realized the moment it came out of my mouth, that was real bad. Real bad.
Well, never mind now. Interview is over. So
at least that no racism still stay around.
So what? So when? How did Jorge? How did you? And I know this might sound like a weird question. When you read this script, how did you feel? I guess the best thing is how did you know that your artwork would fit in with Number One with a Bullet?
Well, I do try to.
Or did you just need money?
I mean, yes, I also do need that. But I also try to, every book that I work on, I try to give it a bit of a different style. Not necessarily like too drastic, but I do like to adapt my style to whatever the story needs. Mm-hmm. And ever since the beginning, the art was like something that we experimented at the beginning, just kind of like to find a look that we wanted for the book and that we both liked. But it was mostly the story that drew me in. And the moment like we started talking about it, and the moment that it became less about the technological advances and like, and the way social media is right now, and it's how our lives are basically are dictated by social media by this point. Even though that was a major factor, the fact that it was like about the human all this have in our lives, that was a major appeal for me. So like art-wise, I just wanted to explore a style that it was that I could tell the story, but that I could express the feeling and the emotions and the situations that these characters go through beyond just like the technological aspect of it, if that makes sense.
It doesn't, but that's okay. No, I'm just kidding with you.
It's just my second language, so like half of this I have no idea what the words means. So yeah, it's good.
You just said watermelon like 4 times, and then that was it.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Fuzzy watermelon. That's all I heard.
Yeah.
Weird, creepy. So I guess okay. So I know one of the things that a lot of people get out of this book is Nash. Yes, Nash is a very, very, very strong, independent female. How was it drawing and actually just creating a female character? Because a lot of people say that, men can't write females or design females really at all. And honestly, that's not really true. So how did Nash kind of come to be?
I mean, it is really funny because we've gotten this question more than once.
Oh, damn it.
No, not in the same way. This is told in a very easy fashion.
Oh,
it wasn't complex. There was no complexities to it. It was very just straightforward. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, so it was straight. It was complex.
It made me stop and think, and I had to really weigh on it. No, it's interesting to me because I as a writer, I just write people as people, and I don't really see I don't really go, oh, women characters need to be X and male characters need to be Y, and I don't know. I just kind of just write them as people, and I like when I grew up in a single parent household. My mom raised me pretty much my entire life. My dad was there for a bit, and he came back later, and we've been great friends since. But yeah, and then I had two gay aunts, and so those were like the three figureheads in my life growing up, and it's just like I've been a very big. It sounds so cheesy to say this because it sounds so like dumb, but I feel like I'm a very big advocate for like everything to do with women's rights because it just those are the people that raised me. I know exactly like who these people are, and I just think it's really shitty like how in social media we might treat them, or with pay we might treat them a certain way, or with anything we might treat them a certain way. And I think it's really weird because we're all just regular people, and as a writer I just strive to write regular people. So I guess that's a really basic way of answering that question, but it's kind of just the only way I can really answer it.
No, and that makes a total sense. Jorge, what about you? Like when it came to creating Nash, how did Jake kind of do the like kind of give her a description, or were you just able to kind of play around?
No, we played around, and the good thing about especially after working in Gunners together, Jake and I have a pretty good dynamic of like building both the story and the characters before actually getting to the building of the actual book. So we talked for a long time about what we wanted and what we wanted to get from the book and the characters and all that, and what we didn't want to do. And that was one of the things that we wanted to write a character that it was like it was going through these situations, like and it didn't it kind of evolved into the character that it is now. And Nash in a graphic way, or my end of the deal, basically I just wanted to I've been surrounded kind of like Jake. I also grew up with like my mom and my grandma raising me, and then it's kind of like the cliche to go like the women in your life kind of answer, but at the same time it's like I've been lucky to be surrounded by strong, powerful women most of my life, and then just taking from life. It doesn't have to be a supermodel. It doesn't have to be like the stereotype of a female character. It just needed to be a person. It just needed to be a real person, and that's kind of like how we went through both writing and designing this whole book.
No, and that's guys, and I'll tell you right now, my mom raised my brother and I'm identical twins, so it was double trouble as a single mother. My
Chad
father,
and Brad.
Yeah, Chad. No, it's Corey. It's 2 C's. Get it right. They don't.
I was hoping it was like Tad or something. Or
no, I told my mom if I ever found out, like when I got older, that our names rhymed, I would just change my name immediately to like Hogarth or like Garugamesh, and that way it would just be totally different. It's like Brad, and it's like, please tell me his name is Chad. Please tell me his name is Chad, and Gargamel, and it's like, oh, so it's like extremely sad. But my father was never in my life, so I'll tell you that right now. I never knew him. So when it comes to like strong, independent women in your life, I think that's a really great thing to pull from. Because that's not what a lot of guys do, I guess you could say, with a book, is they try to capture, oh, this is a female and not a person, because we're all just people, except maybe a certain orange thing. And anyway, but moving forward, so one of the things, and I will say, everybody, not to kind of toot my own horn, but I got to read up to issue 3, and I'm not going to give anywhere spoilers of it at all, but is there going to be any supernatural elements into this? Because that's what I'm kind of sensing, or is there just going to be a drug hallucination situations going on.
See, I can't give anything away.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe off the recording, I'll talk to you about it.
Okay, all right. Well, guys, I'm sorry if I poked the bear on that one a little bit, but I had to know.
Interview over.
Dang it, everybody's hanging up now, and thank you for listening, everybody. I'm just gonna sing Freebird the rest of the
plug at least 13 minutes.
So
no, it's yeah. There's no. I mean, we're not trying to go anywhere that isn't
within the realm of possibility.
Yeah. So I mean, all the clues are before you. That's what I can give you.
So, what kind of research did you guys do to kind of develop this storyline? Like, Jorge, did you like go out and see? Because your artwork is very kind of twisty when it gets really dark and very, I guess, exploitation. Yeah, and then everything kind of turns with your writing style. Totally changes, Jacob, into this more rough and very straightforward. Appearance. So what kind of research did you guys try to pull from? Did you just go on the internet and troll a lot, or like what did you guys do?
The sad part is that especially after this election cycle, it's been super easy to just get inspiration of how people talk to each other. It is the saddest thing to see. I am just blown away by how humans interact with each other on social media. There's no thought to this is a person on the other end of this who has like a family or like feelings. It has literally just become like an enemy with a picture. And yeah, it's bad. It's it was very easy. It wasn't hard. The most that I did was I researched a lot of background on stalking. I researched a lot of background on the laws in every state when it comes to sexual harassment, stalking, doxing, all those kind of things. And you'd be surprised, there's not a lot of laws that cover these things. It's kind of scary, actually. It's one of those things where we've kind of built ourselves into a corner where we are so busy innovating that we're not like doing anything to regulate those innovations in a way that can protect people. So we're just kind of like giving people bullets and then here's a gun and then just giving them bullets and being like, you can do whatever you want with this. Hopefully you don't kill anybody. It's just like one of those things where it's getting a little sketchy, a little hairy out there. So, and just the stuff I've been reading is very intense because it's real. And the stuff that I write in this book, it seems really, it can seem sometimes like flights of fancy. And honestly, most of the stuff that I've done has been inspiration from something that actually might have happened. Like, I've read so many things that are just mind-boggling. So,
that's actually really awesome that you looked into all this. I was expecting you to sit there and say, yeah, I just stalked a bunch of people and I just got the reaction and I just wrote that into the book. So everything you see is just the victims of who I'm stalking. Like they're just, there's a horror.
They actually, they're all disappeared. They're gone now.
Yeah, no, it's like that Bruce Wayne thing. I had to become a criminal to learn how they think. It's exactly like that.
Oh, I knew it. But Jorge, what about you? Like when it came to developing the art structure, like what kind of research did you do?
No, well, when it came to art, I just wanted to make it as grounded as possible, just to drive home that idea that this, even though we're talking about technology that is in process right now, or not necessarily like out there right now, it's something that is basically very possible and very, contemporary in a way. And when it came to those scenes that you're talking about, when it came to those parts where like it's the brain and it's the mind overpowering the body, and it's kind of like everything crumbling from within, I just wanted to make it as surreal as possible. So like I went into a lot of like just basically distortions of reality. So like art that inspired me into basically that sort of like journey, I guess, between sanity and complete insanity. So it was more about reflecting the the shattering of the mind when it gets to those points. But for the rest of it, I just wanted to make something that looked like it's just an average day, basically, just like something very, very possible and very grounded in reality.
Yeah, we definitely did want to do fantastical elements until certain things happen, and then you're like, oh, like this is definitely pretty crazy and weird.
Yeah.
And so it's just a yeah, I mean, I'm trying to do it in a very vague way, but yeah, so we definitely want to portray it as real life, not so much anything else.
You want people to essentially take this as, I guess, this is actually possible and able to happen. What I really enjoy about this book is, one, this kind of shit happens all the time. But Nash as a character is actually trying to do something about it. Mm-hmm. Like, she is really trying to build herself up, and that's something you don't really see in the actual real world. So at the same time, though, a lot of people could take this as a message of saying, you know, when you get a sex tape leaked, I think it's okay to, you know, do something about it or say something instead of just ignoring it and trying to make it go away. The fly will just continue buzzing around your head until you swat at it, you know? So
yeah, it's unfortunate in the fact that, I mean, especially with Celebgate, none of those people. I mean, no one asked for a sex tape to be leaked, maybe some people do. I don't know, but
yeah, we didn't appreciate that as the invitation for this, by the way.
I'm sorry. I thought you guys would like it. Didn't.
How'd you like to talk to me? That's all it was. Just a video, and I was like, oh boy. No, I mean, like, no one really asked for these things to happen, and so I could definitely see a world where when you are of a certain fame, you know, elevated kind of celebrity, it is definitely probably given to you by a PR person as do not talk about it. It's a news cycle. It'll end eventually. People will stop talking about it on their own. And I get that. And there were some celebrities like Jennifer Lawrence who definitely spoke out against it and really raged against the people or the person that did this. The thing about Nash is that what we wanted to do is we wanted to make Nash not famous. Like, she's semi-famous. She's a social media fame. So, like, I didn't want her to be the person that had the PR guy on her side or the lawyer on her side. I wanted her to be the person that was on the opposite side of that and having to deal with, like, multiple pressures from all over. Like, she's an assistant to a variety show host. She's got semi-celebrity because she also does these skits with said host. And so it becomes this thing where it's like, you're not famous, but you're kind of famous. People know who you are, but then some people might not know who you are. So it's one of those things where it's like, it can be seen as, oh, she totally released a sex tape, so she can be more famous. Like, she doesn't think she's famous enough. So it becomes one of those things where this is a very real thing. Like, people blame Paris Hilton, all these kind of people blame X, Y, and Z for, like, releasing a sex tape so they can be more famous. And honestly, I don't think anyone has been able to prove that. I mean, I could be wrong. I didn't research that part of it, but I don't remember anyone saying that, like, they actually found conclusive proof that she released a sex tape so she can be famous. So it's one of those things where it's like, it's just shitty people just kind of assuming the worst in somebody else and going, yeah, they're totally, like, just releasing a sex tape of themselves so they can have their 5 minutes of fame. And that's kind of what happens to Nash. This is like, people think that she's just kind of doing these things on her own. Everyone jumps to a conclusion. It's so easy to do when it's not, when you don't view the other person as a person, you view them as entertainment because they're on a screen. And so that's kind of our lives now. Our lives are, we don't view people on the other end of anything as people. We view them as entertainment or, you know, hurdles to walk past or jump over. So that's kind of what I wanted to do with Nash in this situation.
Absolutely. And I love, honestly, I'll tell you right now, Nash is probably the best character when it comes to these reactions. She goes from this weird, I'm going to live in my house for the rest of my life to being forced out of her home. And then when she thinks everything's done, everything hits her all at once again. And that happens a lot, especially the people who want to be famous, but they get famous for the wrong reason. You know, like the Cash Me Outside girl, but we're not going to talk about her. But guys, we're almost out of time. This has been terrible. I'm going to tell you right now, this has been awful. But do you guys have anything?
I'm not the only one then.
So guys, do you have anything to say to your maybe fans that you have?
To all three of you, my parents.
Mom, Grandma, Morgan. I love you, all three of you.
Aw.
This is the last thing you've ever heard Jorge say. He goes missing after this. No, I mean, Number One with a Bullet is definitely, it's one of those things that's going to make you think. It's going to be worth more than 5 minutes of your time to read, so hopefully it's worth your $4 to pick up. So, just give it a shot, and if you enjoy it, we got some more coming. It's going to be every month, so that's where, what's up?
I was going to say, how many issues is it?
Oh, it's one of those things where we're kind of gonna. We did this with Goners where we were like, it's gonna go forever, and then we just kind of started to cook some cocaine and kind of ran around, Hill Park, something like that.
Oh,
super high on life. No, I'm just kidding.
It's gonna...
no, it's just one of those things where when we first started doing indie comics, we ended up realizing very fast that this is dictated by fans. So the more people that pick up the book and read it, the more we can keep it going. So, right now we have this first story definitely kind of concluded and ready to rock, but we can keep it open for more. So, we don't want to like commit to anything, but at the same time, it's not a mini. So hopefully we can make that work.
Right. And even if you guys have to like switch characters and everything, that would be kind of cool too,
Yeah, it's like a Black Mirror type thing where it's like an anthology of terror or something like that. You can definitely do something like that for sure.
Yeah, except Jorge keeps his pants on. Like, let's just,
No, I didn't promise any of that.
Penis fingers.
Well, Jorge, do you have anything to say as well?
Yeah, no, definitely. This is definitely one of the most different books that I've worked in, and it's definitely because of the human value behind it. It's a story that I think a lot of people can relate to, and especially nowadays. And it is a book that it presented a challenge both in the way of telling the story and working in the story, just to give proper respect to everything that happens and everything that this situation that is sadly too common for our for entertainment. It keeps happening online all the time, and it's something like it's devastating to a life. But it is a great story, and yeah, hopefully we can keep doing it for more than what we anticipate. But if not, we want to tell a solid story, and I think that's what we have.
It's just going to be 4 issues, isn't it? And then you guys are just going to make
it's going to be 3, actually. It ends exactly where
that's
the cliffhanger that you read.
Yeah.
That's the end.
Oh,
of the
that's
story.
it. Guys, I was going to inflate your guys' ego, but now I'm just not. So you guys can go fuck yourselves.
The 4th issue is just 1 page and it's a question mark, and that's it. You just open it up, question mark?
And then it's like this weird interpretation thing. It's like you guys can interpretate your own story. Make your own story.
Exactly.
Make your own
It's a journal. Write it yourself.
That's a really good idea and a terrible idea for a comic.
No, that's a sad idea. If you complete that story, then damn.
It's just a link to a live journal. That's all it is.
Damn it, you guys are gonna hate the book that I'm working on. Then all it is 1 page. It's a choose your own adventure book where everybody just adds a page to the book and then I just publish it as a comic.
There you go.
That's fun and
that's
dangerous.
The way to do it.
I think so too. I think it'll be a terrible waste of money and I'll just go bankrupt with it, but I think it's gonna work. But guys, thank you so much for joining me. Like I said, it's been terrible. But everybody who's ever is listening, all 4 of you who are listening to my podcast, read Number One with a Bullet. And I will say this right now is that Number One with a Bullet has probably beat Mr. Miracle in my number 1 comic of the year. Yeah, and that's what I was gonna tell you guys. But because you guys are assholes, I'm just not gonna tell you that now. But no, in all seriousness, the message behind it is brilliant. Nash is a phenomenal character, and just the way the story goes from issue 1 to 3, there is absolutely no miss in this book. The consistency with the writing and the art is wonderful. It doesn't skip a beat to throw an impact and a punch at you, and it's fantastic. So,
oh, dude, you're the best. Thank you so much. That was
you're
great.
welcome. Now, if I could have my money now, I am.
No, it's on the mail. It's in the mail.
Oh, good, thank God.
It's with a bunch of fingers that Jorge drew.
that look like dicks.
No, that was. You say you're terrible at ending these podcasts, and that was a fantastic way to end this thing.
Oh, the next one thing is just me vomiting after saying something nice.
I disgust myself, and then you just go to the bathroom, shut the door.
But guys,
Yep.
Image will have, I believe it'll be out in November 3rd?
First.
First.
Yeah.
First.
Okay.
No, first.
Third. Well, we can argue about that later and talk amongst ourselves when it's to be released. But guys, thank you so much for joining me. Everybody, please read number 1 with a bullet. I highly encourage it. It will be on my pull list once it is released. And do you have anything else you guys want to say?
No, this is great. Thank you so much.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yep. Jacob, George, you guys have a wonderful night. And guys, thank you
But
for
you
listening.
fucked it up
I
right
did.
at the end.
Everybody, thank you so much for listening to Jacob Semahn and Jorge Corona's number 1 with a bullet interview on Comics R Kewel Presents. If you want to ask some questions, just go ahead and drop those in the comments below. And if you do enjoy this interview, well, I'll see if I can get another interview with them, and they will answer your questions. Wow, that was terrible, and I spaced out there for a second. Guys, please remember, like, subscribe, and keep watching and keep listening to Big Geeky Couch and Comics R Kewel Presents. Bye, guys.